When Bruce Lee and Bolo Yeung came into the same space, nothing dramatic happened at first. Yet the atmosphere shifted instantly. There was no challenge, no display, and no need for either man to announce himself. One carried raw physical force, the other carried control shaped by discipline and precision. In that quiet pause between them, something unspoken was being understood, not about who was stronger, but about how each man carried his strength when nothing needed to be proven. When two powerful individuals meet, the atmosphere often changes in subtle ways rather than explosive ones. There is no urgency to prove anything, because both already understand the cost of real strength. Bruce Lee recognized that dominance does not need to announce itself to be real. Strength that is secure remains steady instead of reactive. It observes before it moves and listens before it responds. This steadiness is not hesitation but awareness shaped by experience. True strength carries patience within it. It understands that rushing forward often exposes insecurity rather than confidence. Bruce Lee never felt compelled to display his abilities simply because someone else was strong. He trusted his discipline enough to remain calm. That calmness communicated more than any aggressive action ever could. It signaled control, not weakness. When strength is genuine, it does not depend on an audience. The need to perform usually comes from doubt, not certainty. Bruce Lee's composure showed that he did not require validation from comparison. His confidence was internal, shaped long before the moment arrived. Because of that, he could afford to wait. Raw power can be intimidating, but intimidation loses its effect when met with composure. Bruce Lee understood that reacting quickly often gives power away. By remaining still, he kept control of the moment. Strength expressed through restraint denies others the reaction they expect. This denial shifts the balance without confrontation. Measured strength also preserves clarity. When someone rushes to dominate, emotions cloud judgment. Bruce Lee's steadiness allowed his mind to stay clear, even in the presence of physical force. Clear thinking becomes an advantage that outweighs size or aggression. Control turns strength into precision rather than chaos. The strongest individuals often feel no need to compete unnecessarily. They recognize that comparison is rarely productive. Bruce Lee's approach reflected this understanding. He knew that real mastery reveals itself naturally when required. Until then, silence and patience are enough. There is confidence in allowing moments to unfold rather than forcing them. Bruce Lee trusted timing over impulse. He knew that rushing to act often weakens effectiveness. By remaining measured, he allowed the situation to reveal itself fully. Strength guided by timing becomes effortless. True strength also protects dignity. It does not seek to embarrass or overpower for the sake of appearance. Bruce Lee carried himself with respect for both himself and others. This respect reinforced his authority without aggression. Calmness became a statement of self-control. When strength is rooted in discipline, it resists provocation. Bruce Lee did not allow external pressure to dictate his response. He chose when and how to act based on principle, not emotion. This choice reflected a deeper level of mastery. Strength remained under his command. Steady strength also conserves energy. Rushing forward wastes effort and creates unnecessary conflict. Bruce Lee understood the value of efficiency. By staying composed, he preserved both physical and mental energy. This conservation enhanced his readiness if action ever became necessary. Many people confuse intensity with strength, but intensity often burns out quickly. Bruce Lee demonstrated that true strength endures because it is controlled. His calm presence outlasted moments of tension. That endurance revealed depth rather than surface-level power. When strength does not rush, it creates uncertainty in others. Those who expect aggression often feel unsettled by calmness. Bruce Lee's measured response disrupted expectations. This disruption gave him an advantage without movement. Silence became a strategic choice. Strength that remains steady also reflects self-knowledge. Bruce Lee knew his capabilities well enough to avoid unnecessary displays. This self-awareness removed the need to prove anything. Knowing oneself deeply creates confidence that does not fluctuate with circumstance. In moments of potential confrontation, restraint often communicates more than action. Bruce Lee's composure spoke of readiness without threat. It showed that he was capable but unprovoked. This balance defined his approach to strength. True strength does not rush because it has nothing to chase. It stands firm in its own certainty. Bruce Lee embodied this truth through calm presence and measured response. His strength did not demand attention, yet it commanded respect. Physical size is often the first thing people notice, and for many it becomes the standard by which strength is judged. A larger body suggests force, dominance, and the ability to overwhelm. Bolo Yeung embodied this kind of power, the kind that could be seen instantly and understood without explanation. His presence alone communicated physical capability, yet visible strength is only one layer of what power truly means. Bruce Lee represented a different dimension of power, one that could not be measured by appearance alone. His strength lived in awareness, precision, and timing, rather than sheer mass. This form of power required understanding rather than observation. It was built slowly through discipline and constant refinement. Where size relied on presence, this power relied on mastery. Physical size offers advantages, but it also creates limitations. Large strength often depends on momentum and force. When momentum is disrupted, size can become a disadvantage. Bruce Lee understood how timing and positioning could neutralize raw power. Control allowed him to operate efficiently regardless of physical differences. Awareness plays a critical role in redefining strength. Being able to read movement, intention, and space transforms how power is applied. Bruce Lee's awareness allowed him to anticipate rather than react. This anticipation reduced the need for brute force. Power became subtle and precise rather than overwhelming. Control separates strength from chaos. Without control, physical size can become unpredictable and wasteful. Bruce Lee's mastery over his body and emotions allowed him to act with clarity. Every movement carried intention. Control ensured that strength was directed rather than scattered. Discipline is what unites body and mind into a single force. Bruce Lee's discipline shaped his reactions, training, and mindset. It allowed him to refine his abilities beyond physical appearance. This discipline created reliability under pressure. Power grounded in discipline remains consistent. Physical power is often loud, drawing attention through display. Internal power operates quietly, revealing itself only when needed. Bruce Lee's strength did not demand notice. It existed independently of recognition. This independence gave it durability. True capability emerges when different forms of power intersect. Body, mind, and awareness must function together. Bruce Lee embodied this integration. His movements reflected mental clarity as much as physical skill. This balance allowed him to adapt to any situation. Size can intimidate, but intimidation loses effectiveness when met with understanding. Bruce Lee did not view size as an obstacle, but as a variable. By adjusting timing and distance, he reduced the impact of physical differences. Knowledge became an equalizer. The ability to remain composed in the presence of visible strength reflects confidence. Bruce Lee's calm response to larger opponents showed that he did not feel threatened by appearance. His confidence came from preparation rather than comparison. This preparation defined his power. Physical size often peaks and fades, but mastery evolves. Strength built on muscle alone is limited by time and condition. Bruce Lee's approach allowed growth without dependency on size. Skill deepened even as circumstances changed. Power that relies solely on physical traits becomes predictable. Bruce Lee's adaptability prevented predictability. By blending mind and body, he created versatility. This versatility made him difficult to read and harder to control. When discipline guides strength, efficiency replaces excess. Bruce Lee wasted no movement or energy. Each action served a purpose. Efficiency amplified effectiveness beyond what size alone could offer. This moment between Bruce Lee and Bolo Yeung highlighted a fundamental truth. Physical size may impress, but it does not define capability. Mastery arises when strength is guided by awareness and control. Power becomes complete when body and mind move as one. Presence has a way of changing a space before anything actually happens. It doesn't rely on movement, volume, or display. The moment someone truly grounded enters a room, the atmosphere adjusts. Bruce Lee carried this kind of presence naturally, shaped by awareness and discipline. He didn't need to assert himself for others to feel it. His calm awareness did the work silently. Imbalance usually comes from perception. When one person appears larger, louder, or more intimidating, the other is expected to yield. Presence disrupts that expectation. Bruce Lee's stillness removed the psychological advantage that size often creates. By remaining centered, he reframed the moment. What seemed unequal on the surface became balanced beneath it. Calm awareness anchors presence. It keeps the mind clear and the body relaxed. Bruce Lee understood that tension feeds intimidation. By releasing tension, he denied others the reaction they anticipated. Calmness became a stabilizing force. It equalized the dynamic without resistance. Presence does not compete. It settles. When someone is grounded, there is no rush to dominate or retreat. Bruce Lee's posture, breathing, and focus conveyed readiness without threat. This neutrality made intimidation ineffective. It shifted attention away from size and toward substance. True presence commands respect quietly. It doesn't demand recognition or force acknowledgement. People feel it instinctively because it comes from internal alignment. Bruce Lee's presence reflected years of discipline rather than momentary confidence. That depth made it convincing without effort. Intimidation relies on provoking insecurity. Presence neutralizes that tactic by removing emotional reactions. Bruce Lee did not give fear or aggression anything to attach to. His composure created a psychological pause. In that pause, imbalance dissolved. Presence also influences how others behave. When someone remains calm, it encourages restraint in the room. Aggression often feels out of place when met with stillness. Bruce Lee's awareness set the tone without instruction. His presence guided the moment naturally. Grounded presence cannot be rushed or manufactured. It develops through consistent self-control and self-knowledge. Bruce Lee's awareness was practiced long before such moments arose. That preparation allowed his presence to remain steady under pressure. Authenticity made it undeniable. When presence is real, it removes the need for confrontation. There is no need to challenge or submit. The moment becomes balanced on its own. Bruce Lee's calm awareness created this equilibrium effortlessly. Size and intimidation lost relevance. Presence also sharpens perception. By staying grounded, Bruce Lee remained fully aware of his surroundings. This awareness provided confidence rooted in readiness rather than assumption. Knowing what is happening removes uncertainty. Presence replaces fear with clarity. People often mistake loudness for dominance. Presence reveals that dominance does not require noise. Bruce Lee's silence carried authority because it was intentional. It communicated that he was fully present and in control. That control shifted the balance inward. Grounded presence affects time as well. Moments slow down when awareness increases. Bruce Lee's calm focus allowed him to experience the situation clearly rather than react impulsively. This clarity strengthened his position without movement. Presence turned patience into power. When presence fills a space, comparison fades. There is no longer a need to measure size, strength, or status. Bruce Lee's awareness made such comparisons irrelevant. The moment became about alignment rather than advantage. Balance replaced competition. This kind of presence cannot be forced because it does not come from performance. It emerges from consistency between thought, body, and intent. Bruce Lee embodied that consistency. His presence reflected who he was, not who he wanted to appear to be. Presence equalizes imbalance because it addresses the root, not the surface. It calms fear, disrupts intimidation, and commands respect without words. Bruce Lee's grounded awareness showed that real influence begins internally. When presence is authentic, balance follows naturally. Respect does not always arrive through dialogue or explanation. Sometimes it appears quietly, carried through posture, stillness, and attention. When two disciplined individuals share a space, recognition can happen without a single word exchanged. There is a sensing that takes place beneath conversation. This recognition feels immediate and natural. It does not need confirmation or validation. Words often complicate moments that are already clear. They introduce ego, interpretation, and misunderstanding. In contrast, silence allows awareness to remain sharp. When neither man felt the need to speak, it showed confidence rather than distance. Respect filled the space because nothing needed to be defended. The absence of words kept the moment honest. Posture communicates intention long before speech does. The way someone stands, breathes, and holds themselves reveals their mindset. Both men carried themselves with restraint, signaling control and discipline. This physical awareness conveyed respect without effort. It showed that neither sought dominance. Balance replaced competition. Restraint is one of the clearest signs of respect. Choosing not to interrupt, challenge, or perform reflects maturity. It shows trust in one's own ability and acknowledgement of the others. In this quiet exchange, restraint spoke louder than assertion. Each allowed the other to exist fully in the moment. That allowance is a form of recognition. Mutual awareness deepens respect without conversation. When attention is present, understanding follows naturally. Both men were attentive, not reactive. This awareness allowed them to read subtle cues without forcing interaction. Respect emerged through shared focus. Silence became a shared language. Conversation often seeks agreement or victory. Silent respect seeks understanding. There was no need to persuade or impress. Each man recognized discipline in the other through presence alone. This recognition was not negotiated. It was felt. Discipline recognizes discipline. Instinctively, those who have trained deeply can sense it in others. It appears in calm breathing, measured movement, and emotional control. This shared discipline creates immediate trust. Words would only repeat what was already known. Respect settled in without announcement. Silence also prevents misunderstanding. Without words, there is no misinterpretation of tone or intent. The moment remained clean and focused. Respect grew because nothing disrupted it. Stillness protected clarity. The exchange stayed grounded. When respect forms without words, it feels durable. It does not rely on promises or explanations. It exists because it is real. This kind of respect endures beyond the moment. It becomes part of how individuals remember one another. Quiet acknowledgement leaves a lasting impression. Mutual respect does not require equality of size or style. It requires equality of discipline and awareness. Both men recognized this balance. The absence of speech allowed that balance to remain intact. No one needed to assert superiority. Understanding replaced comparison. Silence creates space for honesty. Without the pressure to respond, truth surfaces naturally. Each man could observe without performing. Respect grew in that space. It was unforced and sincere. Nonverbal recognition also protects dignity. It avoids unnecessary challenge or display. Respect was maintained without risk of escalation. This protection showed care for the moment itself. Dignity remained intact for both. When discipline meets discipline, acknowledgement happens quickly. It does not need elaboration. The recognition is immediate because the signs are familiar. This familiarity creates ease rather than tension. Respect feels natural, not negotiated. Silence can be an act of respect in itself. It shows patience and attentiveness. It allows the other person to be fully seen. In that quiet, recognition deepens. Respect becomes mutual without effort. Respect does not depend on words, because understanding does not always need explanation. Sometimes it is felt instantly through presence and restraint. When discipline recognizes discipline, conversation becomes optional. The moment completes itself quietly. Respect stands on its own. Mastery often reveals itself not through dramatic action, but through deliberate restraint. The ability to act is common, but the wisdom to hold back is rare. Bruce Lee understood that every movement carries consequence. In moments where others felt compelled to prove themselves, he chose stillness. This choice reflected depth rather than hesitation. Restraint became a signal of control rather than limitation. True mastery requires clarity under pressure. When emotions run high, impulse demands immediate expression. Bruce Lee resisted that impulse by remaining centered. His restraint showed that he was thinking beyond the moment. Long-term awareness replaced short-term reaction. This clarity allowed him to maintain command without force. Choosing not to act often requires more strength than action itself. It demands confidence in one's ability and trust in timing. Bruce Lee did not need to demonstrate his skill to validate it. His restraint showed certainty rather than avoidance. Knowing when to remain still reflected experience and judgment. Restraint also protects focus. Unnecessary action can distract from what truly matters. By holding back, Bruce Lee preserved mental and physical energy. This conservation reflected strategic thinking. Mastery is not about constant output, but about efficient decision-making. In restraint, there is an understanding of proportion. Not every situation deserves full response. Bruce Lee recognized when action would add nothing of value. His stillness showed discernment. Discernment separates skill from mastery. Control over oneself is the foundation of restraint. Without self-control, restraint becomes impossible. Bruce Lee's discipline allowed him to govern his reactions precisely. This internal command was more powerful than any outward display. Mastery began inward before it appeared outward. Restraint also communicates confidence to others. It shows that one is not easily provoked or manipulated. Bruce Lee's calm refusal to act unnecessarily shifted the dynamic of the moment. It placed him in control without confrontation. Stillness became a form of authority. When action is unnecessary, movement can weaken impact. Bruce Lee understood that action gains power through contrast. By remaining still, he preserved the significance of any future response. This understanding reflected patience refined through experience. Long-term thinking shapes restraint. Bruce Lee considered outcomes beyond immediate satisfaction. He understood that restraint preserves dignity and avoids unnecessary escalation. This foresight protected both reputation and purpose. Mastery looks beyond the present moment. Restraint also allows situations to reveal themselves fully. Acting too quickly closes off information. By waiting, Bruce Lee allowed the moment to unfold. This awareness sharpened judgment. Stillness created space for understanding. The discipline to hold back reflects trust in one's foundation. Bruce Lee trusted his preparation enough to remain calm. He did not need constant proof of capability. This trust allowed restraint to feel natural rather than forced. In many cases, restraint de-escalates tension before conflict arises. Bruce Lee's composure prevented unnecessary confrontation. His calm presence replaced friction with balance. Mastery revealed itself through stability. Restraint requires emotional maturity. It means resisting ego-driven responses. Bruce Lee's restraint showed that ego did not govern his actions. Purpose guided his decisions instead. This maturity defined his mastery. When restraint is chosen consciously, it becomes an expression of strength. Bruce Lee's stillness was not passive. It was active control. Mastery showed itself through deliberate non-action. Mastery is revealed in restraint, because restraint reflects understanding. It shows control over impulse, clarity of purpose, and awareness of consequence. Bruce Lee's choice to remain still demonstrated the highest level of command. In that stillness, mastery became undeniable. In moments like this, greatness is not measured by what is shown, but by what is deliberately withheld. Bruce Lee did not need to act because his discipline had already answered the question. The choice to remain still reflected awareness, patience, and confidence built over years of refinement. It reminds us that mastery is not about constant movement or dominance, but about knowing exactly when nothing needs to be done. When restraint guides action, strength becomes timeless, and character leaves the deepest mark.